and I am going to go ahead and introduce our amazing speakers. So our speakers today are our staff advisors to the Regents, and I'll start with Andenet. Andenet Emiru is the Director of External Partnerships and Projects at UC Health CDI2, where he leverages his passion for data-driven solutions to innovative healthcare. He specializes in establishing strategic partnerships and collaborative projects to enhance healthcare outcomes. With over 9 years of experience at Target Corporation, Andenet has honed skills in business development, consulting, and strategic partnership. He holds a bachelor's in management information systems and an MBA. As a mentor and advocate for peace, health, and economic prosperity, Andenet is committed to making a significant impact in healthcare through research, education, and public service. So if you could give us a wave, Andenet. There he is. And I will introduce Joe Mackness. Joe serves as the Associate Vice Chancellor of Residential and Student Service Programs within the Division of Student Affairs at UC Berkeley, right, Joe? Yes. She has a variety of leadership roles across UC Berkeley, including Interim Assistant Vice Chancellor for Human Resources, Chief Strategy and Operating Officer, Executive Director of the Center for Responsible Business, and Professional Faculty Member at Berkeley Haas School of Business. Prior to Berkeley, Joe's roles ranged from working as a human capital consultant to snowboard instructor to corporate responsibility leader at Ernst & Young. Joe holds an MBA from UC Berkeley Haas and a BA from UCLA. Welcome to both of you, and I will turn it over to our staff advisors to the Regents.
Well, fantastic. Well, super excited to be here. And thank you so much for UCR and Erica and Brittany, the team that put this together. When Joe and I were visiting UCR, when we heard about this event, we were like, this is phenomenal. Not only are you doing it for UCR, you're opening it up to folks across the system. And I feel like there should be, these are the type of programs we want to emulate across the system, and super excited to be here. And we will start off on the next slide here, talking about, who are staff advisors? What do they do? What's the role? What's the purpose behind why the role was created? And we serve, in general, you can put them in 3 buckets, right? So we have advisory, engagement, and collaboration. Advisory, in the sense, we are advisors to the Regents on a plethora of staff-related topics. We are advisors to the UC president and his direct reports. And executive leadership on staff's perspective. Just over the past 6 months, there's been a variety of topics that came up that are impacting our staff. Things like benefits, health benefits, and some of the increases we've seen there. Things like annual pay increases, and things like the member contribution, potential increase to members to make up the pension shortfall projected gap. So we serve as advisors, and we represent 240,000 staff that are really the life and blood of the university, and both represented, meaning part of labor unions, and non-represented or policy covered staff. And engagement, right? And so the second part of it is we are constantly communicating with our staff. We are hitting the campuses. We've done campus visits. I came on board last July 1st, and since then, Joe and I have been busy. I think we've hit at least 6 campuses with 3 more to go over the next 3 months. So it's one way we get our feedback. We work with CUCSA staff assembly groups. We partner with staff affinity groups on the different campuses to gather insights and really to understand what are some of the issues that are happening, where are we performing well, and where are some of the gaps that we need to make sure that leaders are aware of. And the last one is really collaboration, right? There, the president as well as the regents have been very frank and saying, look, we want UC to be an employer of choice. And this is where we'll talk a little bit later about what's our contribution to leading the organization and identifying what does that mean to be an employer of choice, and make sure that the definition of employer of choice comes up from our staff who are here. And like I said, the life and blood of the university. So that's a little bit about what staff advisor role is and why it exists here at the university. I'm proud to be a staff advisor at, one of, I think, only 3 in the nation that has staff advisors at the Regento level. Oh, thank you. Thank you, Brittany. So yeah, what are the focus areas as we move forward? I think I just touched on one of our largest focus areas, trying to identify what it means to be an employer of choice, and how do we understand the definition of employer choice for our staff who are currently here and have been here, but also for those that are coming into the workplace, right? So we're working with our system-wide HR groups led by Cheryl and Missy Metella here at OP, but also the CHROs across the system, and working and serving in different work groups. Today, there's 3 different work groups that are led by system-wide HR groups in total remuneration study, benefits survey groups, and there's another one that looks at exit survey and engagement in general, engagement group. We're also working with our regions to provide a state of the staff to the regions to help them understand on when we talk about staff. First off, like what's the number of staff that exists across the system, and what's the demographics of our staff across the system, when we'll break it down by age group, ethnicity, some of the trends that we're seeing, but then also focus it and sprinkle what we're hearing at our campuses in terms of what staffs are telling us are, what's working on the campus and what's not working, especially, and then tied into in order to become an employer of choice, what we need to focus on moving forward. So we partnered with our system-wide HR group and a few CHROs to be presenting a state of the staff here in the May region. So Joe and I are super excited about that as well. All right, next slide. This is where we put you all to work. So we have a keep you active. We come up with a question because we want to understand, what does that employer choice mean to you within the UC context? Again, for folks who may not be familiar with an employer choice, why do you continue to show up and work for UC, and what is it that you believe an organization that's the 3rd largest in California, with an office in every county, should have to be a leader and to be seen as an esteemed organization where people would love to come to work, and that's inclusive. So if you can scan this QR code or go to that, can't see the website here, but Mentimeter.com, and put in that code, you should be able, there should be a page that comes up. We'll put you in breakout rooms, maybe 5 per group, and we would love for you to enter in what your definition of what it means to what does employer choice mean to you. So over the next 5 minutes, I think that's how much we're giving them, right, Joe? 5 minutes.
Yeah, I don't know whether we want to do breakout room for this segment or the next segment. I think this one we were just gonna have everyone just sort of type in what they thought of as employer of choice, and then we'll sort of look at some real-time results.
Okay, fantastic. Thank you for reminding me. We have 2 activities. One was thank you. One was this, and then the other one was the activity. All right, so let's look at, let me share my screen if you don't mind, and then we'll show the real live results. All right.
And is everyone finding it okay to get to the Mentimeter and add in your thoughts about what it means to be an employer of choice for the UC? Feel free to type in questions if it's not working for you.
We have 26 responses so far, but fantastic to see this word cloud. And as you'll see, Joe and I have gone to, like I said, 6 campuses and have talked to a plethora of organizational groups and staff assembly groups and affinity groups, and have already collected what they've been telling us. And you'll see that for the most part, it aligns with what we're seeing here. But 54 responses, fantastic engagement. We appreciate your response here. Flexibility seems to be
Oh, Antoinette, we're not seeing the cloud on the screen.
oh, sorry.
Oh, I thought you were keeping it secret from us, Andenet.
No, that's what I was trying to share. All right. Thank you. Here it is.
There you go.
74 responses. Here's the word cloud. This is live as the results come in. Equity, future, inspired to work, belonging, inclusivity, competitive pay. That's a big one too. Growth, stability. Wow, you're all on it today. Over 100 response. This is fantastic. Support. Good climate. Oh, this is truly engaging. I don't think I've been a part of something where people are so forthright coming and sharing their opinions. This is fantastic. So, and the way the word cloud works is the more time the word gets mentioned, the bigger space it deserves on the spot. So it looks like it's we definitely have some trends, and that as we'll present here over the next few slides, you'll see align well with what we're hearing on our campuses as well. Anything surprises you here, Joe?
No, not surprising. I think just as you mentioned, really good alignment with what we've been hearing across the various different campus locations. Certainly flexibility and is one that comes up a lot, as well as, you know, the benefits, the growth. And if you look around the edges, there's actually a lot of the same stuff that's you know, like, for example, retirement plan is mentioned that I would include in the broader benefits package. You know, similarly, professional growth is on the periphery and opportunity for growth is on the periphery, and then you've just got growth in the middle. So lots of reinforcement on the edges of the big words that are congregating in the middle.
Accountability. You know, there's a few words that are standing out to me. Well, keep the responses coming. This has been fantastic. I think we will probably give you another 30 seconds and then go into the rest of our presentations. Really great engagement. I mean, it's that the fact that we have 160 responses is fantastic.
I think that maybe we could just show this as part of the Regent presentation in May, Andenet.
Absolutely. You
I
read my mind. I think
quite powerful.
It is quite powerful. So you're all helping us with our Regents presentation as well. So thank you so much. 166 responses. This is more than we expected. Brittany, if you don't mind, if you can pull up the slides again, and then we'll move on with our presentations.
Yeah, so as I mentioned, and thank you for that, I really appreciate the engagement. And as Andenet noted, we're going to have you all break into breakout rooms in just a few minutes here so that we can continue the engagement, and hopefully you'll get to meet a few folks that you didn't know before in those breakouts. But just to give you a sense of the alignment that we're seeing from you know, what you created with the word cloud just then to you know, what we're hearing across the various different campus locations. This is the answer that we get to the question, how do you define employer of choice? What are you looking for? What do you think of most when we say employer of choice within the UC context? a lot of the same stuff that you mentioned, a huge amount around workforce flexibility and choice. Also comes up a lot, equitable pay, and obviously the benefits and the pension packages. And then another thing that comes up a huge amount is the opportunity for professional development and advancement. I mentioned these ones first because they all have a common component to them when they're brought up, and that is that when we ask staff, they say that they would like all of these components, but they also say that in some cases staff have already these components, and in other cases they don't, and that they really raise that there's some inequities and inconsistencies across both the system and the various different campus locations, but also, when we look at the department level or even the individual team level, there's inconsistency in terms of, sort of flexibility to work remotely, or, or pay equity varies depending on which unit you happen to be working out of. And so that's one of the things we hear loud and clear, is that that staff are looking not only for equity of experience, but also transparency around, who's getting what. So that's something we hear a fair amount. And then some of the other components that are also mentioned, one miss, a lot of people are very excited to work for the University of California, and in particular, it's the name brand. And one of the pieces of feedback that we hear is that the university really doesn't perhaps do as much as it could to leverage that name brand when it comes to recruitment and retention of staff. I think we use it quite a lot when we're trying to attract students, but that name brand works really well for staff, and we're not perhaps using that as much as we could. And then the other thing, of course, that came up in the word cloud and is particularly an area of focus is employee well-being and work-life balance. We hear a lot about that. We hear a lot about staff feeling burnt out, feeling like they are stretched, perhaps in some cases over a couple of different jobs as they're covering for different staff who are out, or the position hasn't yet been filled. And so we're hearing a huge amount around wellness and work-life balance. Andenet, what am I missing on this slide? And perhaps you might want to take the opportunity to share some of the bright spots and the things that we've heard where campus locations are doing quite well.
Yeah, no, I don't think you're missing anything, and I do see well alignment between what we saw in the word cloud and what staff are telling us as we are making our rounds. In terms of best practices, I think we've seen a variety of our campuses have a program called FSAP that helps with wellness, and it's a kind of counseling program. There's FSAP programs at a variety of our campuses, but there are ones that are done really, really well as well. And there's a bright spot there. There's we saw a few campuses have done this flexibility or workplace flexibility really well, where they rolled out a program that involves the staff, their manager, as well as HR, and coming to a consensus on agreeing to this flexibility of work. So I think those are two bright spots that I can think of off the top of my head. I think there's this late their campuses are also thinking about how to incorporate AI or artificial intelligence into helping with the day-to-day work of staff. And I think one of the things that for example, UCSF, when we visited UCSF campus, have told us is they've rolled out a chat GPT-like platform called Versa that allows folks to search within their intranet and all the available information it's almost like a one-stop shop chat GPT like interactivity. We've also heard from Irvine. There's now a ZAT-GPT or ZAT-GPT being created. So there are some bright spots in what we're seeing. Of course, we will continue to keep a list as well as try to make the connections to make sure that where we see a benefit with one campus and to the extent that they're translatable, we'll push for that. But that's I think those are some of the best practices that we've seen. Joe, back to you.
Yeah, thanks, Andenet. And then, another question we often ask is why staff choose to come to UC in the first place, and then why, importantly, do they choose to stay at UC Berkeley? And this is always a really fun question because it's very positive, and it's incredibly consistent. So there are two things that are mentioned. First and second, or second and first, and that is the mission-driven organization. I hinted at this on the previous slide. Staff really believe in both the mission that is centered on our students, which is helping be the people mobility engine, if you will, for our students, and helping them achieve both social mobility and a career mobility beyond perhaps what they had previously with their own situations and their families. And then obviously the mission around our research and all of the cutting and leading edge research that the UC does. So people are really bought in on the mission driven component of the organization. The other thing that we hear a huge amount, and it's oftentimes, first or second on the list, is how much they appreciate their colleagues, and how supportive of an environment their teams are, and how really it's all about working with the team and with the colleagues is the reason that they show up and continue to enjoy working at UC. So those two are by far the top noted reasons why staff arrive in the first place and choose to stay. The other thing, obviously, that we hear a fair amount about is benefits. Unfortunately, benefits, depending on when you arrived to the UC are sometimes, better or not quite as good as perhaps they were, in previous decades, let's say. So that's one that often gets mentioned and was consistent with the word cloud. And then the last one I'll mention is learning and development opportunities. And this one is often mentioned as a benefit, but it also has a downside. Staff, it stands to reason. We're a learning organization. We should be really good at this. This is what we do. So lots of learning and development opportunities. Inconsistency, though, in terms of staff being allowed to participate in those learning and development opportunities, be they, attending conferences or courses, or even the professional development opportunities that are afforded staff through, leading a staff org or an employee resource group, which of course has tremendous benefit to the UC system, but isn't always, as supported by managers, or is inconsistently supported by managers. And so again, there's sort of a two sides to this benefit here. So I'll stop there. Hopefully that resonates with folks. I think we'd like to, at this point, maybe go to the next slide and ask you what you think about the kinds of programs or practices or initiatives or policy changes that you can think of that would help keep you here at the UC. And I'm not sure if we're going to use are we using the Mentimeter again? How's this one working, Andenet?
Yeah, it'll be great if we can use the Mentimeter as you get into your groups, and feel free to just put on your ideas onto the Mentimeter, but discuss it within your groups and put them in. Again, this is something that we'll take back as well. And the one other thing I'll add, Joe, is I think we're going into this budget season, which will continue to be tough for the foreseeable future. So in general, we know that incentives and pay is one thing, but we'd love for you to keep thinking about things that probably won't break the bank, but will boost morale. I think we're ready for the breakout. This is where we put you to work.
Alrighty, and you want that for 5 minutes, right?
Yes,
Yeah,
5
I think
minutes.
5 minutes would be great, and then we'll come back and we can, you know, sort of get some key themes and chat as a group.
Alrighty.
Yep. You can use that mentimeter.com or scan the QR code. Joe, you and I have the ability to roam if you want to join the groups.
Do that. Hopefully I'm just looking to see if everyone got into a breakout group.
I'm seeing the results on this end, Joe, so I know some are already at work.
If you haven't already, be sure to join that breakout room.
Huh? What? What?
Is everyone back?
Everyone should be back now.
It never feels like it's long enough. Andenet, do you have something you want? It wasn't, no.
Oh, sorry, I was on mute. I was asking Brittany to allow me to share so I could share with you all what we're seeing. All right. Well, quite a lovely engagement here. And all right, without further ado, here are the results. So fascinating results. We've gotten 34 responses from the breakout groups. Paid leave. Would love for that to be a little bit more specific. I think there's what within paid leave. We have some PTOs. There's a couple things that we have, but the more specific we are, the better. Competitive pay and benefits. Free tuition and discounts for family members. Okay. We actually in the work group that I joined, I told Victoria I'm going to call on her. She talked about a program at UCR that I wasn't familiar with that pays for tuition, and I think she's going to share that information in the chat. So again, and to my belief, I think it's only at UCR, or at least I'm not familiar with it at other campuses. But again, we do have some great programs that are allow our staff to take advantage of. Pay support and rising cost of living, salary increases, health and wellness. Okay. Relief from time for work, professional work development. I think some of these, what I'm seeing, Joe, and your former CHRO, you tell me, is more of a communication, because I think, for example, for professional development, I do believe for policy covered folks, there is a policy, right, that talks about the up to 80 hours every year that folks can take. So if you mind just touching base on some of this professional development time off that staff can take advantage of.
Yeah, sorry, I was reading through the chat as well as listening to you at the same time. I think you asked me to talk a little bit about the professional development opportunities.
Professional development opportunities,
Yeah.
and then I'm going to test your skills on the types of, I see paid leave, things like that. Like if to the extent that you're aware of the system-wide leaves, touch on some of those that are available.
Yeah, I mean, I'd love to hear a little bit more about what folks are thinking with regard to paid leave. There is a policy that allows staff policy covered staff 80 hours a year to partake in professional development opportunities. And some campus locations have actually gone even further and further detailed out in their own local policy what exactly that looks like. So for example, here at Berkeley, we have an additional policy that specifically calls out participation in staff organizations or employee resource groups as a professional development opportunity, and one that should be afforded time out, a paid time out to participate. So this is all really helpful. On the paid leave front, I'm wondering if someone can go off mute and give us a little bit more context on that one. I'd love to hear more about that. And Mary, thank you for the local procedure for PPSM 50.
But again, appreciate your responses here. I think the next segment, I know I'm trying to keep an eye out on time as well. Next segment is really your time with Q&As, especially with regards to specific. Here, I'm going to stop sharing so we can get into the next segment, but keep them coming. Brittany, if you don't mind sharing the slides, we'll go into the next few slides where we'll open it up, and maybe some of these questions will that we're posing to the audience will open up for discussion. So what key issues would you like us to raise with Regents and OP leadership? And again, if there's anything regarding staff advisors to the Regents that you would like to know more about, especially as we are in the season of open applications for the next staff advisor. Got a big shoes to fill as Joe is leaving us here at the end of June. So again, any questions that you all have?
And while you're thinking of questions, and feel free to come off mute for those. Oh, thank you, Trina, for raising a hand. I noticed in the chat there's and actually part of my one of the breakout groups that I was in, tuition reimbursement for those of you who have dependents that are attending a UC. This is a policy that actually came very, very close to fruition just a couple of months ago. It's stalled out right now with the President Drake in dialogue with some of the regents and further socializing the program. I worry that given the budget outlook for the state, which is of course trickling down to the UC system, that it might take some time to get this program back up and implemented, because it will cost some money. But just know that there is an effort already underway to hopefully implement a tuition reimbursement program in the future. Okay, we've got a couple of raised hands. I think Trina was first with their raised hand.
Hi there. I won't take too much time because you already addressed this, but yeah, I just wanted to clarify that there is a UC-wide policy for the employee to get a discount if they would like to go back to school, but most of us are highly educated already. And so that benefit doesn't really help. What would help is the kids' tuition. And it's unfortunate because I think by the time that happens, my kids will be done, but just to give some context, I wrote a check yesterday for $5,300 for 1 quarter of tuition at UCR, which I'm happy to do. But gosh, it would be so helpful if there was some other benefit available for those of us who are sending our kids to UC. I'm a 30-year employee, and it's like I really, this is my second child through UCR. So anyway, we're lucky to be able to pay for it out of savings, but I know a lot of people are not able to do that. Yes, adoption requests are being offered. Paige already has hers in. Thank you, everybody.
I appreciate you bringing that one up. And it definitely with the Andenet and I both have children who are on their way. Fingers crossed to a UC, and yeah, this one resonates with both of us personally, as well as again across the system. Let's see, Bradley.
Can we quickly before we go there, can we talk about this? I think I'm just reading Marilyn's remark. You know, I've worked at UCR for 15 years in HR. I'm not familiar with an employee tuition discount. You know, I think in general, irrespective of which campus you're at, there is that disconnect of understanding or being aware of all the programs and benefits that we have. So it's certainly something that Joe and I will take back up to the system-wide HR folks, as well as the individual campuses. How do we increase the awareness? Sorry, Brad, I think you're up next.
No problem. One topic that came up in our breakout room, and this is a sensitive one, because UCOT coming off too strong on this, I don't think anybody would be very happy about, but some encouragement for consistency regarding remote work policies. It seems to be the case right now, at least at UCR, where it's dependent upon the unit that you are in, and you know, the perceptions and opinions of the unit head, right? Whether it's a dean, et cetera, et cetera. Again, I know this is a tricky one for obvious reasons, separations of power, and, you know, important things. So I'm trying to choose my words carefully when saying some encouragement for consistency, because it just can help perpetuate that carousel effect where people are trying to just move to this office on campus because they have a better remote work policy. There's lots of dynamics there, and fundamentally, the most important point is I think it could help morale.
Point well taken, and we certainly heard that sentiment at other campuses as well. And, you know, I do think there's something that we're elevating, and we see, for example, works at certain campuses. There's been articles written about how UC Davis, for example, and UC Irvine have gone about that workplace flexibility. Yeah, but so Brad, definitely hear you, and really good points. All right, let's see. I want to make sure we're respectful of your time. I think that the last thing that we have left was to encourage you all to think about becoming staff advisors. We're actually in the application season as we speak. So get them in before April 1st, which is the deadline. And towards the middle to end of April is the interviews, and we'll have the next staff advisor. So there's the link. I've also put the link in the chat. But if there are any parting questions, I think Joe and I will have the next 5-10 minutes. We can stay maybe the next 5 to 7 minutes and address any questions related to staff advisor or the application process, or anything else that you're curious about. Thank you so much for joining us. This has been fantastic engagement from you all.
Yeah, we really appreciate the opportunity to participate, and thank you for including us. We had an awesome visit to UC Riverside. I wanted to mention that out loud. We loved our visit. So hopefully you'll have us back again soon. And feel free to email either one of us. I just put my email address in the chat, and I'm sure Andenet will do the same. If you do have any other questions or concerns or comments or things you want to share, we're constantly receiving information and lifting it up to the folks that are really making the policies and implementing you know, all of the things that affect us as staff. So again, thank you for your engagement, and please do stay in touch with us.
Thank you so much, Joe and Andenet. What a great presentation. Did you guys like that? I'm sure you did. I'm seeing lots of thumbs up and lots of comments in the chat. It was incredibly valuable to have you guys spend this time with our staff. So thank you. And I just want to say a side note, Andenet and Joe are so active at the CUCSA conferences that we have with the other staff assembly representatives across campus. They're such a great representative for staff. They really do listen, and they really do everything they can to raise our voice with the region. So we appreciate you. Thank you so much. A couple of just closing notes for everyone. We hope you had a fabulous time in this session. As you know, our UCR staff conference is 100% free, thanks to our awesome partners in LEAD, Staff Assembly, and Human Resources, Employee and Organizational Development, as well as Schools First. So just a couple quick reminders before you go to the next session. If you are interested in being part of LEAD, their nominations for their executive board are now open, as well as Staff Assembly. So we are both having openings on our board, so please take a look. Our first in-person closing session for our staff conference takes place tomorrow. So if you have not registered already, please RSVP. The session is going to be at the Alumni Center tomorrow from 2 to 3:30. So we would love to see you there. And please remember to sign up for the EOD listserv for Human Resources so you can keep in touch with HR. We look forward to seeing you again in our next session. Everyone, have a fabulous day. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Erica, Brittany.
Thanks,
We
everyone.
appreciate you.